boys and girls. I'm very excited to be here today. My name is Jeffini.
And I am Gus the Gorilla.
And today we're going to read a book to you called The Seeds.
The Seeds.
It's a book all about responsibility.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it, Gus.
Okay, let's read.
The Seeds by Jeffrey Knight. Illustrated by Charlene Kasdorf. The little boy woke up to a glorious morn. He stretched and got up from his nap. He jumped from his bed and into his jeans, pulled on shirt and his shoes and his cap. He ran down the stairs, past the kitchen and porch, out the door, through the yard, crossed the fence, along the back alley to his favoritist park, to his favoritist swing. And he swung. He swung higher and higher till his toes touched the clouds and his nose smelled the scent of the blue. He was the best in the world, in the town and the park, and this particular swing in particular. He was the best swinger he knew, so he swung. One day he would swing so high and so hard in loop-de-loops all around the bar that maybe the swing set would fly to the sun. But not today. Today he just swung.
Well, then the boy saw a man. He was a very old man. He was his grandpapa. And that man was sitting. He seemed a very good sitter on the park bench. That boy saw the man, his grandpapa, and the man saw the boy, and then the very old man waved. Oh, not a huge wave like one from his great-aunt Matilda, nor a small wave like one from the Queen, just a wave, the type of wave that says, "Come here for a gift." So the boy went to see what he gave.
The very old man reached out his hand and handed that boy a box. Oh, not a big box like Mom's trunk, nor a box for lunch, just a box that would fit in your hand. Then the boy moved the latch and the lid, and inside it he saw what he saw. There were two little seeds, one quite green and one red, all quite comfy in a blue satin bed.
Oh, then the man said, "Little boy, they're for you. If you care for 'em all the time, you must love 'em and sow 'em and water and grow them. But remember, they're not yours, they're mine. Get yourself 2 pots, green and red. Fill them with soil, not too little, not too much, but just right. Poke a whole finger deep and plant both the seeds. Pat a little to hide them from sight. And this rule's the most important of all. You must water 'em both every day. Never forget to give them their due, not too little, not too much, but just right. Okay?" The boy thanked the man for his thoughtful advice, and the small box and the seed. The man asked again that he follow each rule, and the boy absolutely agreed. Oh, this is getting good.
That's right. Well, then he flew down the road past the Henson's dog Ruff, jumped the fence, went right across the yard where he leaned back his head. He opened his throat with a yell which rang loudly, "Hey, Mom!" He told her it all, and she helped find the pots and the soil and the watering can. Then his finger made holes, and he dropped in each seed, red and red, green and green, understand?
Yep, and then he patted the dirt over the top of each one, so they hid in the soil out of sight. Then he watered them both with a watering can, not too little, not too much, but just right. He waited and he watched and he looked and inspected. He held his breath tight with delight, but that day nothing grew. Nothing popped out or flew. So he finally said, "Good night." I wonder what's going to happen.
I don't know, Gus. We'll see. Well, the next morning came quick. He flew down the stairs. Oops! Back up for his pants and his shirt and his hat. Then back down the stairs through the kitchen he ran to the porch where his little pots sat. He got on his knees. He looked and inspected and knew he saw something for sure. His red pot was only the same old black dirt. But the green pot had something much more. A wee, small, tiny, Teensy weensy, itsy bitsy, microscopic speckled leaf of brilliant green. Let's see.
There it is. He jumped up with his can. He watered both seeds, not too little, not too much, but just right. And he spent that day looking and waiting and watching his green leaf and the red still out of sight.
Yeah, 4 days and for weeks he was faithful and true. And each day his green plant would grow, not too little, not too much, but just a teensy small bit. But the red seed, well, it never wanted to show. And then it happened.
Oh, I know. One day after school, he played with his dog Ruff and maybe his gorilla Gus. And then he did his homework and he watched TV and he read a book. Yep. He was tired. He was exhausted. He thought that's enough. He lay down and that's all it took. He closed his eyes that night. Yep, he kept them very tight. It wasn't till the morning light that he realized with a terrible fright he'd forgotten to water his seeds just right. Oh my goodness, what's going to happen?
That's okay, Gus. Let's find out. Oh, down the stairs he ran, past the kitchen and Mom, and he stopped with a long, long sigh. That green plant had grown not even a speck, but the red one, it was 1 foot high. So he watered that day, and the next, but the red one just stayed the same. The small green one kept growing a bit by a bit, but the boy soon caught on to the game.
What do you think's the game?
I don't know, but we'll find out.
Okay. He chose not to water them once again. Uh-oh. And sure enough, wouldn't you know, that green plant, it stopped a-growing. Not even an inch, but boy, did the red fella grow. Each day when he chose not to water the plants, the red plant grew a foot or more. It grew so big that he took it outside. It hardly fit through the door. He planted both plants out in the front yard where all the neighbors could see. They laughed when he showed them his little green plant. But they really loved his red tree.
It grew bigger and bigger.
And bigger and bigger.
And bigger by far.
It was the biggest red tree in the whole neighborhood, and its trunk grew as big as a car. Yeah, oh dear, it covered the yard, it covered the block, it covered the school and its big parking lot, it covered the bank and the grocery store, it covered the bridge and the highway and more, it covered the lake and the city park too, it covered the fair and it covered the zoo, it covered the trains as they chugged all around, it covered most every part of his town.
And all the neighbors admired the tree. They asked who had grown it, and the boy said, "Me." And the people would travel for miles just to see the town with that little boy's very big tree. Then one night, as the boy slept soundly in bed, something happened to his tree that everybody called Big Red. Why, a small, gentle breeze started rustling its leaves, and a fine mist of rain began wetting its eaves. Harder and harder the little wind blew, till it blew just as hard as a gale ever knew. It blew and it gusted and whipped and exhaled. It belched and it snorted, it screamed and it wailed. Then the tree started creaking, branches started to sway. The leaves started falling both this and that way.
Well, and then with one mighty creak, and with one mighty smash, I like making that sound, the tree, the little boy's tree, that tree, it fell down with a crash.
Oh my.
I know.
Let's see, it fell down on the yard. It fell on the block. It fell on the school and its big parking lot. It fell on the bank and the old grocery store. It fell on the bridge and the highway and more. It fell on the lake and the city park too. It fell on the fair and it fell on the zoo. It fell on the trains as they chugged all around. It fell on most every part of his town.
Oh my goodness, and all the neighbors were mad as could be. they climbed over the limbs and the leaves of the tree. They wanted to know who to blame for that mess. They wanted his head, and they wanted the rest. Oh dear.
Hey, it says they got to his house, and they found that young lad. They grabbed him and shouted, for they were quite mad. But just when he thought that he'd played his last game, an ancient voice sighed, "I am to blame."
They grabbed the old man, his grandpa, in the little boy's place. They dragged him away, their judgment to taste. But as the boy passed and the man passed the boy glanced at his face. All the little boy saw was a tear of pure grace. Well, the days slowly passed. The weeks they went by. The little boy cleaned up in the tree and the lye. The limbs were all burned and the leaves hauled away. But the pain and the guilt, well, they just sat down to stay.
Then the little boy woke to a glorious morn. He stretched and got up from his nap, jumped out of his bed and into his jeans, pulled on shirt and his shoes and his cap. He ran down the stairs, past the kitchen and the porch, out the door, through the yard, across the fence, along the back alley to his favoritest park, to his favoritest swing, and he swung. He swung higher and higher till his toes touched the clouds and his nose smelled the scent of the blue. And then he saw the old man. That same very old man, his grandpapa. And he saw that old man wave, "Hey, you."
Well, yeah, my friend, you can travel to that very same town. You'll see a most marvelous sight. You'll see a man with a can, daily waters 2 pots. Not too little, not too much, but just right.
Hey, boys and girls, I sure hope you enjoyed today's story.
I did.
Did you like the part when the tree fell in the house?
Yup,
And I hope you guys enjoyed the story too, and maybe learned a little bit.
I did.
I hope you'll come again and see us soon when we read another story just for you guys. Have a great day.
Night-night.